Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's your buddy Bruno. It's coming up on 0900 UTC, otherwise known as around, 0500 Central Daylight Time. It's your old buddy Bruno, and looks like it's going to be a gorgeous, beautiful day. Got the pre-dawn light coming up, and got the flags up, and went ahead and dipped them this morning, got everything all straightened out. And, got my chair out, got my coffee. I'm going to sit out and see what's going on in the world today. I'm going to tell you what's going on in mine personally. Let's see here if I can turn this thing back around. And I can't. Wonderful. Okay, so I guess we get to just kind of stare at a black screen for a minute. I can't go to green screen with this thing and change, how can I put it? I'm making this on my phone camera. And it behaves differently than my YouTube Live. But I didn't want to do this as a YouTube Live because this is more focused on me. And when I do YouTube Live, I'm more focused on you. And unfortunately, I need to make this video because there's a lot going on. So for the time being, I'm going to create a black screen so you can just simply listen. Okay? Now, here's the dealio. I live in a place known as Fehrenbacher Mobile Home Park here in Olney, Illinois. And once upon a time, when it was started, it was owned by the Fehrenbacher family. The principal was Tom Fehrenbacher. And this was back in the late 70s, 1980s. And back then, I lived just west of this mobile home park as it was being built. Another trailer park that was known as Beals Mobile Home Park. And, being the train buff I was at the time, and the railroad ran down the street from us, or down the street from where I am now, I should say, I would sometimes be able to hear the trains in the distance, and they moved slowly. So I could walk from where we lived in Beals Mobile Home Park through Fehrenbacher Mobile Home Park as it was being built, and get up to the train tracks and see the train. Okay. And I'd walk through here. This was way back in 1980. And I said, wow, this is nice. I hope to live here someday. Not knowing that, lo and behold, years later, I would actually end up with the opportunity to live here someday. That actually occurred, So, I considered it a blessing. Well, my mother had passed. She had actually moved here and had worked with the Fehrenbachers to establish herself here. And at that time, our family was a bit connected. My sister Lucy had been established in the area since 1978 and had done quite well for herself. So it was quite secure for my mom. And nonetheless, when my mother passed, she wanted me to have a home of my own. And I had lived in apartments all my life. I wasn't married. I had left General Telephone and Verizon. And I thought, well, I guess I could come down here. Because I always kind of liked Olney. And I bought the mobile home I'm in now from my mother's estate. Well, I had to pass a background check with Tom Fehrenbacher, and his crew, to see if I was suitable to move in. And they determined I was. So I moved in, but not long afterwards, my neighbors and I noticed that the trees needed trimming or even cut down. And I ended up having to confront Thomas Fehrenbacher about the trees. And because, simply put, some of these trees were dying and were threatening to damage not only my mobile home, but the mobile homes of my neighbors. So I went in one day with my checkbook, and I told Tom, I said, we've been coming to you about this, and you keep putting it off. I said, I have my checkbook here. How much is it going to cost to cut it down? Well, this intimidated Tom, and needless to say, a couple of days later, the trees were cut down, that threatened our homes. Well, after that, things go along fairly well until the Fehrenbachers decide to sell the mobile home park. And my understanding was part of the conditions were that Tom probably signed a letter, an agreement for non-disclosure. In other words, he couldn't tell us that he was selling the mobile home park. So the new ownership came in, and it was just a shock beyond shock. And a lot of us got very upset, but as is typical in something like this, because everybody's homes are resting on rented land, we were vulnerable to retaliatory tactics by the new ownership. And once you set a mobile home, it's very, very difficult to move. And it's a very disruptive thing. And then the other big thing is, where are you going to move it to? Unless you've got a spot of land and some serious money to invest in improvements in that land in order to support the mobile home, it just isn't worth it. And a lot of us don't have the resources to do that. So very few people wanted to get involved. Actually, nobody wanted to get involved. They wanted action, but they didn't want to get involved. So they came in. I did what I could to point out issues with compliance with Illinois state acts regarding mobile home parks regulation and operation, and also landlord-tenant relations, and managed to get some things smoothed over. Then a few years later, the mobile home park sold again. But all during this time, it was still known as Fehrenbacher Mobile Home Park. But if you'd asked Tom, who is the principal of Fehrenbacher LLC, if he was involved, he would claim that he was not. Well, just recently, the end of April, beginning of May, rumors started coming around about new ownership coming in. Then it came around that they're looking for partners. Then it came around that, they don't know what's going on. And these rumors are largely generated by our property manager, Sherry Yates. And then on, I believe it was May the 5th, there was a note, or actually a letter, taped to my door that indicated that, welcome to your new home, Fehrenbacher Mobile Home Park, and it gave the address of the Fehrenbacher LLC structure at 1500 South Whittle Avenue. And I was like, well, isn't that interesting? And then I, of course, read the document, and it said, in effect, that an account for the transferring of money from an account that I established, or have at a bank, can be transferred to this new management company. This was done without my authorization or knowledge. It showed the name of the mobile home park, but did not list the true owners of the mobile home park. So I went online and did a little research, and I went up to the tax assessor's office with a friend, and we were able to verify the ownership of the mobile home park. The principal of that entity, which is a Florida LLC. The purported new management company, and it's based in Bloomfield Township, Michigan. And the local area contact, who is out of Terre Haute but has a Southern Illinois area code and number for his cell phone. Now, the easy thing to do would just be to call these people, but I'm not going to. And the reason for that is quite simple. I am actually a very, very private person. I don't make transactions over any wireless devices. In fact, I make no electronic transfers at all, if possible. I have trusted friends who have much secure systems. I had worked in the telephone industry. I know how porous wireless telephones can be as far as security is concerned. Excuse me, a car is coming. You have to bear with me. But I know how porous the security is on a cellular telephone or handheld wireless device. They are very, very easily hacked. I know how porous the internet itself is and how packets of information can be misdirected. I have no doubt in my mind that this device that I'm speaking on has bugs in it. It's just a fact of life, so I accept it. But part of that acceptance is I have to be always on my guard. So for all these years, I have written a paper check and deposited it with the local management. And, or not deposited it, but, deposited it in the lockbox or handed it physically to the local manager. And finally I got comfortable with that. And then, like I said, the management company changed, and they came in, and they formed this account without my authorization, with my name, but with a mailing address of the Fehrenbacher LLC office with a lot number, which means that any information, U.S. mail, that would be generated, perhaps summonses, perhaps information from credit bureaus, anything like that regarding that account would go to the Fehrenbacher office and not to me at my post office box. This smacks of identity theft, and simply put, when prior ownership had taken control of the mobile home park after Mr. Fehrenbacher and the Fehrenbacher LLC entity sold it, my phone was flooded with junk emails, which I still get, junk text messages, which I still get, but not as many. I have changed my phone number since this has all happened, and I'm still getting it on this phone, even though I have only used it twice to contact our local manager, the individual who had been our local manager, Ms. Yates. That's all it took. And next thing you know, it just went nuts. So they think they have more firepower than I do, but I consider that hacking. So what I've done is the only thing I know what to do, which was I altered my review of Fehrenbacher LLC, and I'm going to provide a link in the description of this video so you can read in writing what I'm trying to tell you. And then, of course, go ahead and put up this video. But I don't like doing this. I don't think Fehrenbacher LLC, as a local entity, is not. I don't believe they are endorsing what is going on. I actually believe that they are in a corner, that they are being painted as a patsy to be the front or fall people for H. Olney LLC and what's it called? Blank Family Community Management Company out of Bloomfield, Michigan. It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. And I still hold the Fehrenbachers in this town in pretty high regard because for years they helped take care of my mom, and they did help me get established. But I don't know what kind of unholy alliance that they have entered into with H. Olney LLC. But simply put, this mobile home park is not locally controlled anymore. And I'm afraid I can't recommend it. So, there you go, kids. That's what's on my mind this morning. I'd like to thank you all for helping to support my channel. I know we're in tough times right now in May of 2025. And, what the best we can do in this moment is not to succumb to the mean-spiritedness that seems to be prevalent around us. We need to learn how to help each other and to hold faith, and for each of us to become a beacon of hope for others. To put it in maritime terms, the captain always goes down with his ship, and I'm the captain of an empty vessel. All I truck around is the love that God blesses me with, and then I try to distribute it, and I try to do good with it. I'm not a violent man. Sometimes the human part of me comes out because I'm working towards being a better person. But nonetheless, this is what we are and where I am in my spiritual journey and my physical journey. I know I haven't long to go before my journey is ended here. Should be around for a while, but, it's getting closer to the end than it was the beginning. So I'm just trying to do the best I can for not only myself, but also my neighbors. Because there's a great many people like me in this mobile home park who don't trust the internet, who don't trust the idea of transferring funds via the internet. We don't like the idea of having to pay our rent at Walmart and paying a $4 fee for that privilege. We don't like the idea of the rumored new drop box, which is attached to a shed and fully exposed, which could be broken into or stolen. And according to state law, landlords have to maintain an office on site where rent checks can be deposited. Delegating this to Walmart is not really their office. That's Walmart. That's not the mobile home park. They're just taking it too far out and taking it too far to extremes, especially when it shows the office for the mobile home park to be that of Fehrenbacher LLC. So there's a lot of hokey-pokey focus going on, and I'm not going to stand for it. Yeah, there's risk. There's a lot of risk. But if you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything. So that's all I got for you this morning. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. We're going to take one more peek at this beautiful pre-dawn light. Isn't that gorgeous? Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Beautiful night last night. And we have a beautiful dawn coming up. And I don't know if you can see it up there, but there is that morning star and the chirping of the birds. So, that's all I've got for you this morning. Looks like it's going to be a gorgeous day. And all I got left to say is to all you, good luck, Godspeed. We'll see you around town.